Okay, call this meeting to order. Let the record show that all commissioners are present. And before we continue, everybody, this is the first, we're videoing, taping this, meeting, so see how it works. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, entertain motion for the approval of minutes.
Move.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any corrections?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Commissioner Moon.
Yes. On the, item number 8, on the Methodist Fair Share, we had asked that this be brought back. Are we working on that?
Yes. Yes, we're working on it.
Okay.
Because, the reason is because they came up with only one plan, but I think the city wants to take it back with us and the county, hospital, and maybe the school. So we're working on a different plan, but they came up with us, the rate will be even lower. That's why we haven't put it in the agenda.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yes. On item number 24, it says, motion to authorize the judge to sign. I think the motion was to close out the grant and authorize the judge to sign. We have to, close it out legally.
Motion accepts change.
Second accept. I think that was all I had.
Okay. Anything else? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nobody? We have no citizens' comment turned in. So let's go now to item number 6, presentation of safety award for to Valverde County.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
Members of the court, thank you. As a members of the Texas Association of Counties Risk Management Pool, you guys are eligible to participate in some of the many programs that we have available for you. One of the programs is the Safety Award Program, and you guys have actually contributed to this program in the past, and I'm here to present the 2015 award. We give this award to members that have been able to implement a safety program at the county level, be able to protect the health and safety of your employees, and on behalf of the pool and the association, we want to thank Valverde County for taking the leadership and making this possible. So,
Thank you.
also have a press release for your newspaper to learn more about the program, and again, thank you very much for your support over the years, and anything else we can help you, please let us know.
We got a picture, Judge.
Sure, let's get a picture.
Mr. Judge, I'd like to make a comment. This is a collective issue. This award is a collective issue of the support of the Commissioners Court and the cooperation of the Human Resources, Juanita Barrera. This is a county award.
Come up here so we can...
Yeah, just come forward.
Just come forward?
Quite that far back. Flying in the background.
Can we make it there?
Yeah, that's perfect.
You know what they say, the camera does make you look 50 pounds away.
Big smile. Yeah. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Judge, very nice meeting you. Commissioner, very nice meeting you.
This is the county.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Next, we have the discuss and possible action on approval of proclamation for the elder abuse prevention. Good morning.
Judge Young, members of the Commissioners Court, good morning. My name is Jesus Hernandez. I'm a supervisor with Adult Protective Services, and I'm basically the supervisor for the area of Montana. I want to thank members of the court, Honorable Judge Valdez, for the privilege of recognizing and proclaiming the month of May 2016 as Elder Abuse Prevention Month. I'm going to give you some statistics in reference to the county. To the state of Texas, mainly 54,000 adults were victims of abuse, neglect, and exploitation in Texas last year, according to our data. For many of these citizens are dependent on others for their care, and makes them susceptible for abuse and neglect treatment. The persons may live in unsanitary conditions or without heat or running water. Some individuals need assistance with meals and other activities of daily living. In 2015, Valverde County had a population of 2,500 adults with disabilities between the ages of 18 and 64. 6,900 adults were over the age of 65. During 2015, Adult Protective Service received a total of 212 intakes, in which 158 investigations were completed, and out of those 158, 87 cases were validated. We urge people to report suspected abuse, neglect, and exploitation of an older adult or a person with disabilities by calling our abuse hotline. That hotline can be reached at 1-800-252-5400. You don't have to be certain that a situation is abusive or neglectful. We look into it and find out. Good faith reports are exempt from personal liability and kept confidential. May is Elder Prevention Month. It is time to reflect on what we're doing as a community to support people who are elderly. We all have opportunities to reach out to our families, friends, and neighbors. This may let us make that all people who are elderly and have disabilities are valued. In order to add to that, I know as an agency we investigate abuse and neglect, but at the same time, one of the big services that we provide is that we provide services to alleviate the neglect, the abuse, or the exploitation. So I would urge, if you know of anyone, please report it. We will do whatever we can to resolve the situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had a question, Judge. Is there a certain wording on this proclamation, or we just need to make a motion?
Yeah, we need to make a motion. There's, I think we have it. Here's a,
Down the limit of package.
yeah. Here's a,
Motion to approve.
okay.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Okay, before we continue, let me remind the public that we are our brother's keepers. Be vigilant of what happens to our neighbors, and this proclamation really does that. Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
for all the work you do.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, next we have item 8, request that this Commissioners Court enter into order pursuant to 34.05, parenthesis I, of the Texas Property Tax Code to successful bidder through the sealed bid process of certain property previous struck off the Valverde County trustee pursuant to 34.01, parenthesis C, of the Texas Property Tax Code for delinquent ad valorem tax owned by Valverde County and Comstock ISD.
I got a question, Judge.
Go ahead.
Where's this at? More than, and I'm looking at the map, but
There on the, I have a big, it's north of the, good morning.
Good morning.
Judge, Commissioners. The map I passed out, it's north of the Amistad Lake. It's considered the back 40. It falls under the floodplain. If you notice the blue in the appraisal district, about 3/4 of this property falls under a floodplain area. There is not a house on the property. The map I've showed is the aerial.
another,
That does show a house that is south of it. We have a bid. This property was set for sale this past February. The minimum bid was $13,600. We had no bidders. We do have a private bid by Samuel A. Moore for the amount of $6,000. This property is known as Castle Canyons Estate Block 2, Lot 12, approximately 6.8 acres based upon the appraisal district.
Does it have a water well or anything on it?
That I do
You
not
don't
know.
know.
They don't,
They don't?
no. It's just a piece of raw vacant land that is pretty much useless. I think the guy that's bidding it owns the property adjacent or something.
Yes, sir.
You make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve and authorize the sale.
Second.
There's a motion, a second, any more discussion?
That question, Ron.
Yes, sir.
There's some fees there, court costs, recording fees, advertising, sale, and property market and sheriff fees. What happens to these fees?
Well, it goes under the tax code 34.02, under the tax code goes pro rata. So since it's sold for for the lesser than amount, we pay the court costs first. Any additional sheriff's fees from the tax sale, the very last thing that gets paid will be whatever's left, the proration of the taxes between the county and the school, and if there's anything left, it goes to anything else that was left over after that.
My question, or the reason I ask is because sheriff, for example, he's county, these fees they have to be paid.
The fees will, it depends on if we have enough in the bucket to fill each one in order. There's a listing of who gets paid first under the tax code. First on the agenda is going to be court costs. Next will be sheriff's fees, attorney ad litem fees, with the attorneys for the unknown.
I understand that, but being that the property was taken over by the county, because it didn't sell at auction.
Correct.
So, being that some of these fees are county related, but they cannot be removed.
I think the statute's pretty clear.
What do you mean remove, like the sheriff's fee, say zero it out?
Right.
Well, once the money is prorated, whatever's left will be deleted.
Right.
If there's a balance left, still due, yes. Because there's nothing left.
And the main thing is we put it back on the tax
Let's go
roll.
back on the roll, so we'll be paying taxes on it.
Yeah. Okay, there's a motion and a second, any more discussion? If not, all those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have discussed possible action regarding a resolution of the Commissioners Court of Alberta County, Texas authorizing the Alberta County Commissioners Court to establish and maintain approved line of credit of $910,000 with the Bank and Trust.
Motion to approve,
Was
and
there-
authorize the judge to sign.
There's a motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody. Thank you, 5-0. Next, item 10, discuss possible action regarding a resolution establishing the county's intention to pay drawdown on existing line of credit at the Bank and Trust for the costs associated with the Defense Economic Adjustment Assistance Grant project for the construction of the Laughlin Air Force Base Westgate, authorizing other matters incident and related thereto, and providing for effective date.
Motion to approve,
There's
date
a motion.
effective today.
Effective today. Second, any second?
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
This will be maintained in a separate account, right?
Okay. Thank you. All right, next we have item 11.
Judge, do we have those resolutions? Do we sign?
Yeah. Yeah, we have the resolutions there. We'll sign them right after the meeting. Okay, thank you. Yeah, well, during the break time, we can sign them. All right, next we have item 11, discuss and possible action regarding access to grant cash fund for DWI Drug Specialty Court. Judge Gonzalez?
Judge, he is on his way.
Yeah, he's ready.
Honorable Court, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Judge Valdez, Commissioner Flores, Commissioner Nettleton, Commissioner Owens, and Commissioner Ramon. I'm seeking access to funds in the county in order to run the cash flow on the grant. When I left here in January, initially when Dixie was, her salary is under the Valverde County Probation Department. we asked that only her expenses run through the probation department. And because Mr. Montalvo couldn't afford to run the whole grant through the probation department, he didn't have it in his budget. So then I came back, and then the Commissioners Court, I believe, approved it to come under the county, which the county is the recipient of the grant. And then I was told after that meeting that everything had to run through the Robert County Court of Law budget. I tried, and I can't. I don't have the funds to run the budget, in my budget. So I'm coming back to the court, asking the court to access any funds that may be available through the county to run the grant.
Judge, I got a question.
I checked with the governor's office, and they told me that they've assured me that the $186,000 are there. It's fully there. It's all for the county to be reimbursed. That there's nothing that they can do other than to tell me that the funds are available. That if there's an issue, it's got to be internal for the county. I've checked with different courts, different counties do it different ways. Sometimes the grant is awarded after the budget is already approved for the fiscal year, and the funds come out of a certain account. Sometimes the funds are put into a line item for that particular court, for that particular grant to run for that year. It's going to happen probably in different courts, depending on when the budgets kick in. For instance, my O2 grant, just like this one, we will not know until June or July, and our budget kicks in October, so we can have some time to figure out what's going to happen if it's awarded. So all I'm asking permission from the court is to help me to get access to funds just to cash flow the grant.
Judge, so we have not been awarded the grant yet?
No, the grant has been awarded, Commissioner. It was awarded in 2000. It finishes in August 31st of this year.
But we have not received any of the monies?
Yes, we've received, I believe, about $20,000.
So,
I'll give you an example.
well, real quick, on regards to that, you said Dixie's getting paid through probation. Is she still getting paid through that?
Yes, sir. And then Mr. Montalvo submits to the...
And they get paid, the grant ends up reimbursing?
Yes.
them. The issue that I don't know, that I think kept coming up, in my opinion, one of them was a $500 that for attorneys that we didn't have the right to pay, or we didn't have the money through the grant to pay. So
well, let me backtrack.
My concern with that would be is if we set aside money, one, who's going to administer it, because we can't be out writing checks or writing a purchase request for $500 if it's not going to be reimbursed.
Let me
right?
clarify, Commissioner. I don't have the exact date, but it was sometime in the latter part of April. I had asked for a budget adjustment from the governor's office to be able to go back and pay, or to pay the expenses that you just referred to.
Mm-hmm.
That has been approved by the governor's office. Now, in speaking with Mr. Lowe's office, they've asked me to clarify from the governor's office that in fact we can actually go back for a service that was provided prior to the adjustment, and that's what I'm waiting for from the governor's office. I've asked for that clarification. But the monies, if in fact it's approved, the monies have been approved to reimburse if anything has been paid on the $500. It can be reimbursed back to the county. I'm just asking permission to go back prior to the date of the adjustment.
What you're asking for from the court then is us to pay the bills so you can submit for reimbursement to reimburse the county.
Yes, sir, that's correct. And the timeline for that, according to the governor's office, is anywhere from 7 to 10 days fully reimbursable. From the time that the reimbursement request is submitted by the county. we just received a check for $13,000, I think, within the last week or two, and total it's been about $20,000.
The only thing that concerns me is that we had gone out and approved the $500 before we knew that it was gonna get paid. So we just need to make sure that that doesn't happen again. I mean, who's gonna take care of this grant? That's what concerns me, is the money being set aside. Well, if we're gonna get reimbursed 7 to 10 days, that's good.
Well, I
I just
don't-
wanna make sure that we don't go out and approve again, somebody to get paid $500 a couple months in a row, and we didn't have the money to do that.
Well, let me ask, Mr. Lowe, has the $500 been paid at all? I don't think so, right? Nothing's been paid.
I understand that, but somebody told this person that he was gonna get paid $500, and I think that was you, Judge. So I just wanna make sure that we don't end up going out and obligating ourselves. Well, evidently, he submitted a bill for $500, somebody had to tell him that he could get paid, right? If not, he wouldn't have submitted the bill. I just wanna make sure that we're not out telling people they're gonna get paid for something that we have no line item to pay. That's it.
This is reimbursable. Frank, what do we do on our other grants for reimbursable?
We have a surplus amount of funds, small surplus amount of funds in our grant account that we use to front that
Yep.
money.
I'll make a motion to authorize the use of paying these bills out of there, but only bills that are reimbursable through the grant.
Sure.
Nothing else.
It has to be a specific line item for the grant.
And
I
that's
agree.
my question. I'll second it for sake of discussion. Who's going to make sure that they're
My
reimbursed?
office has all the
Grant
budget.
documentation?
And so if a bill is submitted that's not in accordance with what the grant stipulates, we don't pay it. And that's what I bring to the court. If that's the case, I bring it to the court to see if the court will authorize that payment.
Okay.
Judge, you mentioned that these monies wouldn't be paid until the beginning of the budget year. Were
No,
we
sir.
talking the last budget year or this budget year coming up?
No, it runs through August 31st of 2016. We have this grant runs through the 31st of August.
Okay.
Now, I have a question to clarify. Can the reimbursements be made several turns a month, or does it have to be made on the 27th of each month?
No, it can be made throughout the month.
Okay, so if a PO is approved according to the grant, and your office agrees that it's reimbursable, if it's submitted like today, it can be submitted today, and it can be submitted next week, and the following week, et cetera. Perfect.
Okay. Any more
So
discussion?
you're gonna pay out a cycle type deal?
Well, on grant expenses, we
Can't.
haven't done that yet.
Okay. And that's what'll happen here?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a motion, a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Y'all have a great day. Thank you very
You
much.
too.
God bless. Bye-bye.
All right, next we have item 12, consider an act upon matters regarding to acquisition of easement from Laughlin Air Force Base in regard to the floor under Liberty Drive, West Escondido water line project.
Judge, this is the ongoing project that we have out there. Apparently, the engineering missed that a portion of the boring underneath the entrance of current for entrance to the base is the property of the base. So we are asking for authorization to go out and seek to get an easement for that property. Mrs. Assessor's here, probably just will ask you
Go ahead,
more
Ms.
information.
Judge, Commissioners, good morning. On April 28th, the contractor was informed by the base that the project they were working on with that bore was encroaching onto the Laughlin property. The captain, she said the case was relatively insignificant to their mission and operations, but everything has to be done correctly, paperwork needs to be done. Her recommendation was to proceed with construction and retroactively process the paperwork. What that's going to entail is the engineer will need to provide a preliminary plan, the easement layout to the base, but then that piece of property will need to be surveyed. So I guess what's before you today is, do you want to use a county county surveyor, or go out for procurement?
I got a question,
Yeah.
if you don't mind. But shouldn't he have caught it? Our
Okay.
engineer? The engineer that we used, shouldn't he have caught it?
Well, I don't know, because they got their information from the appraisal district.
Yeah,
and
I understand
the-
that, but they went out and
Yeah.
surveyed it, they should have caught it.
I can't answer
Yeah, they
that, I'm
should've
not
caught
an
it.
engineer, but,
Yeah, they should have caught it, but yet we're gonna incur another cost.
yes.
Why would we pay it if he
Exactly.
messed up? I mean, I just don't understand why we would pay it if, I mean, he should have caught it. I mean,
I can tell you what happened. I can't answer for the engineer on, you know, what process they went through exactly to, in their design phase. Obviously, they did not realize it was on Lawson's property. And I understand totally where you're going with your statements and your questions. I don't know how to answer to that.
And you're correct, Commissioner, all the plans state that all areas where we're laying the line there, it's clear. And why this one did not show, I don't know. Again, they got the information from the appraisal district. But the engineer should have caught it. And I agree with you. I think that they're the ones that should be paying for the survey. And I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and proceed with the acquisition and to authorize the county surveyor to go out and survey this land and the engineering firm used to be billed for this service.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's motion and second. Any more discussion?
I guess if he doesn't pay, you'll come back and...
Then we'll come back.
Okay, there's a motion and second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Next, we have item 13, discuss possible action on lease agreement between Valverde County and the Del Rio 4x4 mud racing, dates May 21st, 16, June 25th, 16, August 6th, 16, September 17th, 16, of the year 16, and October the 22nd of the year 16.
Judge, this event's gonna be done in the infield there at the fairgrounds. We'd actually come, like 2 months ago, and asked for a rate for them to use just the infield. I would make a motion, if y'all don't mind, for them to use it May 21st, 2016, and the rest of the days, if it falls before a meeting, bring it before the court. If not, have the judge sign, and then come back to the court and ratify, for the simple reason this is going to be the first event. I don't know what issues we're going to run into, so I'd like to take sort of one event at a time. So I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, there's a motion and second, Commissioner Hamilton. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody? Thank you. Next
Judge,
item.
would you mind going to the addendum, since it's in the,
Sure.
I've got one in my name, I just want to get that done
And
now.
let's go to the addendum, discuss possible action disbursement of
Insurance fund.
disbursement of fund received for hail damage. Go ahead.
Judge, we received some money, and I believe for precinct 2 was, the barn there, precinct 2, I think it's 37,000, is that right, Roger, something like that?
Whatever you...
Yeah. You've got that? We get to use the new screen. There's where it says System ID 45, the shop, there's a $37,841. I would ask that the court, material cost for that would be around $12,000 for that building itself. I would ask that the court allow me to use $12,000 to fix that building there, and then maybe consider the 4-H building is around 28,000 square foot, where they have their sheep and goat show. It is a county facility. That building had actually had some hail damage several years ago, but the money was not used to fix that roof. I would ask if the court would allow me to use the remainder of the $25,000, either to recoat it or maybe consider replacing the whole roof again and then painting the outside walls with money from that, where it says System ID 25. Basically to use the $37,841 for both buildings.
Is that a motion?
Yes, sir.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Thank you, Ryan. All right, next we have item 14, a presentation by the financial advisor on possible funding options for county projects.
That was actually at our last meeting, we had that presentation.
Okay, thank you. All right, next, item 15, discuss possible action on funding options and the use of interest and sinking funds to fund projects.
We had discussed this a little bit at the last meeting, but Frank wasn't here, so, I thought maybe we should have a further discussion. There was some discussion about using some, money that we had in CDs and other money in the interest and sinking fund to look at, funding some of the projects and shortfalls that we have in some of these projects. I think we had discussed possibly looking at drawing down the CDs and using some of those.
I had asked Frank a little while ago, Commissioner Nettleton, let me see what I've got here, okay. We had, I think as of 2 nights ago or whatever, we had, I think $3.2 million in the general fund in interest and sinking. Is that right? Where's our treasurer?
Yes, 3.9.
Now, yeah, but that 3.9 included the $824,000 that was in a CD. So, in essence, I mean, the funds that are not in the CD, they were 3.1, 3.2, 3.1. And I was looking at it, Frank, and I had this conversation with you a little while ago. When you add the 2013 bond, the tax note for 2013, the $550,000 for the library, the $910 for the line of credit, and $350 for the 2015 tax note, I came up to $2.1 million.
I've been thinking since this business, and I believe you're correct on that.
Okay.
On the budget that we have for this current fiscal year, we started off with, I think, $3.2 million in cash. And then we put the revenues and expenses, and we budgeted to end up with around $2 million in cash. So you're correct on that.
Okay. And I'm going to go all over the place here for a little bit. We budgeted $1,442,000 in tax, and then in delinquent, we budgeted $125,000. When we look it up under the account, there's no delinquent tax money. How does that work? I mean, did we collect it? We had to collect it.
There are delinquent taxes.
Yeah, because we collected delinquent tax in every other account, so naturally, if they come in and pay for this one, they should have. So where's that money credited? Did it just go to the credit for our regular tax? Which if you look at it, we've collected $1.5 million, which is $78,000 above what we budgeted, but is it because that $78,000 came from delinquent tax? How does that work? I mean, yeah, good luck. When you look up the account under interest and sinking, you have tax of $1,520,000 that we've collected and changed. When you look up the delinquent tax, there's none. Okay. So if you take the $1,520,000 away from what we budgeted, there's $78,000. Yeah, but that really, you can't even do that. Even though it's $78,000, you still don't know whether it's delinquent tax or whether they paid more of the other tax. We're missing the delinquent tax.
Yeah. I have to go back to my office and look at the system and all.
And I mean, I think we need to, Commissioner Nettleton has put this on 2 or 3 times. We need to get these projects funded and we need to move forward. My question is it, we have $1,520,000. Do we have more money left out there in delinquent, or is that part of the delinquency? Probably not, right? But it needs to be put in the right line item.
What we have in there is what we have in there.
Yeah. But again...
But it's not categorized correctly.
Yeah.
What is our, Frank, when we get all these bonds and stuff, we have bond covenants. We're required to have reserves and all of those things.
Yes.
What is the amount of money we have to keep in order to comply with those bond covenants and protect those bonds so that we have the reserves and everything that's required?
There's a as long as in the budget that's approved in each fiscal year, the budget appropriates the proper money to make those bond payments, then we're fine with that. There's not any specific instruction on you have to maintain a certain amount of cash in your interest and sinking fund. It only mandates that you have the appropriate funds budgeted in each fiscal year to make those bond payments.
Shouldn't we have a so many day operating reserve?
In general.
That's a recommendation by accounting standards that you have.
But it would make good sense to have a reserve, not only in our general, but also in our interest and savings.
No, it does
Okay.
make sense to have.
Now, the question that he just asked, if our payments are $2,125,000, if we had a reserve of $1 million
Right,
in that account,
right.
in your opinion, would that be enough? I mean, in my opinion, it's more than enough, but in your opinion, is that enough?
Yes, I think.
Okay. So, in doing the math, we have an $800,000, CD that could be used for something else.
It can be used for debt.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. But that would still leave that $1 million. I mean, I think what we need to do is sort of have a visual as to what we need to pay, what we have, and then take all that back out and say, look, you have $800,000, $1.1 million. What is it that we have within interest and sinking to be able to go pay debt?
What you need to consider right now is, as I stated earlier, in the beginning of this fiscal year, we have a $3.2 million balance in the interest and sinking fund. According to the budget that we've adopted, we are spending about $1 million more than that. You can't continually do that, and so there's going to have to be some sort of adjustment in the tax rate for the amount that's being applied to the interest and sinking fund, so you don't diminish that
And do away with it.
every year.
The thing is, though, that we have $2,125,000 is what our debt is. That's $315, the 2013, the $910,000 line of credit, the $550 for the library, and $350 that we budgeted for 2015 tax fund. $2,125,000. And then if you back out what we're collecting in taxes, what we're saying we're going to collect in taxes, we're $682,000 short, plus your delinquents, you're $557,000, not $1 million.
Right.
So, and that's, I mean, we need to get to with that $560,000, our tax rate, what we raised our tax rate last year for our interest and sinking.
We actually lowered the tax rate.
Well, we moved it, but we raised our overall tax rate a little bit.
Yes.
And then we switched some of the interest and sinking tax rate over to our general fund.
Yes.
We had, the voters that approved a tax rate that we could raise it to.
Yes.
We did not do that,
3.7.
but we didn't raise it to that.
We didn't raise it.
So we have some money there that the voters already approved us to go to.
That's correct.
How much money would that raise? What was the difference? Could we table this and let him come up with some numbers?
About $550,000.
So if we raise the tax rate to what the voters already approved that we could get it to, we covered our debt.
You're talking for the library bond that was approved by the voters.
Well, but, yes, sir.
That's correct.
But we can't do that until the budget.
That's correct.
But we have, if we can get all these numbers put on one sheet to where we can actually figure out what we have, I think there's about $800,000 there that after the $910,000 line of credit, there's still about $800,000 that we could use and still end up with $1 million something in interest and sinking after we pay our debt.
It can only be used
For debt.
for debt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we'd go borrow money.
But you made a,
Some of these
It
are-
has to be more than 1 year, or it doesn't classify as debt.
And that's fine, but we still have that money there.
Yes.
but you made a comment a while ago that we were and maybe I misunderstood the comment, that we're spending $1 million more than we're generating?
I don't have the exact numbers in.
No, I understand, I mean,
But we started off with like
yeah,
3.2, and Commissioner Owen is correct on this. The amount of budgeted receipts that we have is
Lower.
2.4, and we have
2.1.
$2 million, some odd $1,000 in
Mhm.
expenses. So that difference, you can't continually have that in your budget. You've got to make your revenue and your expenses at some point in time equal.
balance, yes.
That's what I'm saying.
The only
We-
way you do that is adjust the rate that your, amount of taxes that you're collecting, applying that into the interest and sinking fund, so those numbers equal out. But when you do that, if you don't raise the overall rate,
Mhm.
you have to reduce the rate in your general fund.
Well, and that's exactly what we did last year, is we reduced the rate in the interest sinking fund to increase the rate in the general fund.
Yes.
But
And
again, the
that's what
voters,
caused that.
the voters did
Yeah.
approve a rate increase,
Yes, they did.
and we didn't hit the full amount of that rate increase.
We didn't raise, or the court did not authorize the 3.7.
And that's what I'm saying, there's room there that has already been approved.
Yes.
Even though we thought we could manage without it, the voters approved it, so we could bump it up.
Yes.
I just think that, like I say, Commissioner Middleton's put this on the deal, and we all have projects need to be funded. I think before we leave this meeting, we need to figure out a way to get these projects funded, get it done. Whether it's through a 2013, through that bond to go out, because we already have a $350,000 for the bond payment, or we use part of the money that, if there is money that we have in reserve, either issue debt for that. I mean, there has to be a way to get these projects done and get them done now. I think we're at the point now we need to get them done.
I think in the budget that you're looking at right now, we put
$350,000.
$350,000.
For payment on a tax, a tax note,
On some type
or a
of-
CO or something.
Right.
And 350,000 generates payment on approximately
I don't know.
2 million or something like that.
Well, I think if you'll...
I don't remember the numbers right off the top of my head.
There's another number in the budget for $315,000.
Yeah, that one's for the
That was on
2013.
the 2013 tax note.
Mhm.
That was a $1.2 million
Okay.
debt
Yeah.
interest. So depending on the number of years that you want to spread that out, that's what you're looking at right there. So that $350,000 could be, some number of debt.
Yes.
Depending on how many years you spread that payment.
What we gotta wait on then, I guess, is the bids to come in on the base to see where that number falls, to see if the 910 covers a shortfall, or we find ourselves in a bigger shortfall.
That's true. I've got some sort of concern on that, because the way I read the agreement with the governor's office for the funds, and how those funds are going to be paid or reimbursed to Valverde County, they said they would repay those funds on a monthly basis up to August of 2016.
Yeah.
Well, we got a delay because we're rebidding, and then you're gonna have some time that's gonna take a contractor, once the bids are awarded, to get geared up,
Mhm.
and we're already in May.
Yep.
You're not gonna open bids until the end of May. They probably need 30 days to...
You're gonna have 2
gear
months.
up.
You're gonna only have to get 2
So you've
months.
got
It'll be August, September before they start construction.
Yeah, you're only gonna have 2
You're only
months.
gonna have possibly 1 month that you would get reimbursed for expenses in a 30-day period. After that time, you're gonna have 120 days.
Yes.
So,
I believe
on
it's
a
90
$4
days.
million project,
I believe it's 90 days.
90 days, I'm sorry, 90 days, 3 months.
Yeah, that's still a lot of money.
$4 million project or $5 million project. I know when we were dealing with the loop, we had several
Okay.
months that we had $3 and $4 million draws on.
Yep. And you're gonna have draws like that on this one, and I guess the 910 would be set aside to do that for some time, but I don't know if it'll be enough until we get the final cost in.
That's my concern.
Yeah.
The 900,000 may not be enough to carry 3 months of operation on construction.
Well, once you get, you know, mobilization and delivery of materials and you pay on that, your first check's gonna be probably $1 million.
If that happens in the very first draw, and we're able to get one draw in, it wouldn't be an issue then, because we've got to August the 15th that they would reimburse on a 30-day period. If it runs past that August 31st date, and that first draw is done, then you're gonna possibly be waiting 90 days before you get that.
It's also my understanding that we have not, and I don't know if we haven't received a invoice from the city or what, but the engineer has been paid money, but we've never received anything to reimburse for that payment.
I
We
understand,
received the invoice.
Did you receive the invoice?
We just have not submitted it because we don't have the money to pay.
and it's 200 and some odd
Yeah.
thousand.
A little over 200,000, that's correct.
And then we would submit that for reimbursement but we have to pay it and all that first. So,
But I thought the court had put up some.
we did put up $50,000,
And the city put up
$50,000.
$50,000.
No, 75.
I'm sorry, 75%.
75.
So $125,000 should be in the city coffers right now, right, because that money was,
Well, I don't know if we-
$50,000 was paid to the city.
Wasn't, I don't know, did we pay it to the city?
No, the
Yeah, we did? Okay.
75,000, we still have it. We never put it into the city coffers.
Okay, well, that $75,000 is,
We could just bunch the money together.
in there.
Again, we still have $800-some-odd-thousand in there, the way my numbers come up with, and we could pay the 350 bond, the 550 library, the 910, the 315, and if you take all that, you'd still have $1 million left, plus you'd still have $800,000 in a CD. So I think the base is gonna be covered. The only thing that we would need to do, I think, again, we need to go ahead and take care of these projects. You have something you need to do, we need to take care of it. If we need to go out for the 2015, do a bond, and have set up that $350,000, whatever, basically, you come up with X amount what we're gonna need, you know what your payment is, and then you just spread it out more years. Is that right? So,
But in that scenario, you wouldn't have to tap in for that $800,000 number.
well, we wouldn't, not
But
for the
you
special
could.
projects, but if we run into a problem out at the base,
Yes.
then we would have that $800-some-odd-thousand with which to go use, to issue debt on, and then we're gonna get reimbursed anyway. So we're not gonna, if the numbers are correct, if what I'm looking at is correct, we have the money to do both projects. We have the money to do to fund our projects that we have as commissioners and parks and everything else. And then we still have the money, even after we did the 910, if we end up, and we need more money, we still have a place to go get the rest of the money for the project out at Lockett. The main concern is gonna be, is when all the dust settles, that we don't end up with $1.7 million in this project. You know, that we end up with 4, 5, 3, hopefully $100,000 in this project, after everything's said and done, after we get reimbursed.
Well, it won't be until the next meeting that we can actually start the process for the issuance of a tax note. By then, we will have bids open, will we not? So then,
But again, Commissioner Middleton, it
no, what I mean is we can make a motion to start the process with a financial advisor to start the process of issuing the tax note.
I think we come up with a dollar amount, we table this, and all of us take some time to think about it, bring it back, and come up with a dollar amount, that way they know what they're gonna present us with is
Well, I think-
how much money we need.
You can do it that way, or you can issue up to whatever that note, that payment will pay. It's 310 to about 1.2, 1.3.
The good thing that you have is that the $910,000 line of credit is for projects that come up during the fiscal year,
Mhm.
right? So at the end of, by September 30th of 2016, that $910,000 has to be repaid
Yes,
to that bank. So October 1st,
you can
you
issue it
have
again.
another $910,000 that you can draw down.
That will carry the rest of that project over. in the event that you have to.
You just don't want to use that 800.
And I understand, I mean, you know, I get your concern, of not going after that money that's sitting at 800. I wouldn't have any problem with amending the budget to move the payment on the tax note from 310, increasing it a little bit, using part of that 800,000. Not all of it, but a portion of it.
But again, we charge the tax, we charge the citizens a tax to raise money that is just sitting there. $800,000 has been sitting there since 2008. Is that right? 10? I mean, we charge the tax. And I understand having a reserve, and we have this conversation all the time. But if I have a $2.1 or $2.2 million interest and sinking budget, and I have $1 million in reserve, above that, if we get our tax rate where it's supposed to be, why wouldn't I be able to use that other $824,000? Instead of having 1.8, just only have $1 million. And not have to issue debt on that on that other 800,000.
You could budget, use the entire $3 million.
I don't want to do that. We've had that conversation. You know, we don't have that, you know, that's not realistic, Frank. I mean, we know that we have to have a reserve. Let's keep our reserve and interest and sinking. Let's have our reserve in the general fund for rainy day fund, fund balance, whatever you want to call it. Let's have it. But why wouldn't we reinvest everything else above that back into our community? I just don't understand that.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. It's, the fact that the $800,000 is in a CD is what is complicating this discussion. If that $800,000 could very easily be just in a bank account, and so it's just cash, it's just held in to earn a percent of interest instead of earning.
Because if you look, you've got 824,000. 35 basis points is what it's, one of the CDs at the most. So that CD is only making us $2,880 a year.
Yeah.
But yet we're going to go out and borrow money that we're going to have to pay 3% on. Right? So the math, if we didn't have a reserve, then I could understand keeping that $800,000. But if I already have 50% of what my interest and sinking budget is in a reserve, why couldn't we use the other $800,000 and save the 2-point-some-odd% interest? That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I understand your comment on it. I mean, I want to make sure we maintain the reserve, and at 2 or 3% interest on money right now is pretty reasonable to borrow money and still maintain the reserve and not find yourself in a financial situation down the road. I haven't run the numbers on the difference of what that would be if you borrowed the $800,000 and what that interest would be to pay on it on a 7-year note versus what you would make on it, and what would it really end up costing you. I haven't run that number, but having that reserve in there, we can quickly find ourselves in a bind.
No.
And
I agree. Let's have a reserve, but let's not have 85% of what our interest and sinking budget is. If you want 50%, let's do 50%. But 85%, and not only that, we've charged these people a tax. We've charged each other a tax at some point that we didn't use the amount of revenue that we used. If not, we wouldn't have all this money sitting there. Right? Let's have the reserve. Let's, it's good business practice. It really is. But to have 85% of it in reserve, just, to me, doesn't make sense. You have to have a reserve.
It's actually
But not
more
85%.
important to have a bigger reserve in the general fund than what we currently have.
What, rule of thumb is what, 3 months operating?
Well, they would suggest 3 months, but realistically for a county our size,
45 days,
45 days probably.
which equates to how much? More or less.
$1,750,000.
Well, you can't, are you basing it off the entire budget?
Basing it
or
off the 14 million.
including the sheriff stuff, or backing out the sheriff?
14 million. All I backed out was jail.
Jill.
And just 45 days.
Is how much?
think 1,750,000, if my numbers are right. I did 14 million.
I thought you said 107.
No, no.
Yeah, we're not close to that number by a long shot, so, I will,
Let's get the
I'll make a
tax-
motion to authorize the, financial advisor and the judge and Frank to work on a tax note, a 2016 tax note for our next Commissioners Court meeting in the amount not to exceed what the 350 will pay, or $2 million.
But you gotta have the years.
Yeah, so $2 million.
Yeah.
But we'll have to calculate the years to see where that comes in. If it comes in, if it doesn't, we're gonna have to issue less.
What's the amount of the money that you're wanting to,
340,000.
no, what's the amount of the money that you're wanting to borrow?
Well,
Depends on projects.
I can give you a dollar amount, I don't know if the commissioners are gonna agree. 340,000 times 5 would be $1,700,000, and that would be $340,000 per precinct. Another $340,000 for parks. I need about $70,000 just to buy equipment, and the rest of it, we could build some baseball, 3 baseball fields, a football field, a soccer fields, and probably throw about it
So if
$12,000.
if we come up with somewhere between 1.5 and $2 million,
Mm-hmm,
that would be enough.
yes.
$1,700,000. That's between both of us, yeah.
Okay.
How comfortable would you feel with that, Frank?
Well, let me see after I visit and find out what how the numbers are gonna run for the debt payment, then I'll have a better, answer. Let me just see what it's gonna do.
Okay. Do you want to amend your motion, Commissioner?
Did you get a second?
No, I didn't get a second, but...
Okay, I'll amend my motion to authorize the financial advisor and Frank to come up with a 2016 tax note number that will fall within the bounds of the repayment that we have budgeted.
Okay. There's a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nobody? By next, item 16, discuss possible action going out for RFQs for the firm to design a sports complex.
We've been having a discussion for a while about building a sports complex for this community. I think there's a huge need for it. I think it needs to be a bond election in November. I don't know if this court wants to proceed with it, but if we're going to proceed with it, we need to have a design and a cost of what that project would be. I think there's a huge need for our youth. We have thousands of kids that play all kinds of sports in this community. To be able to bring in tournaments, put people in hotels, spend money in restaurants, I think there is a need to go down this road. There's been discussion about this, but I think the court needs to decide if we're going to proceed with this in the November bond election. If we are, we need to get something designed. If we're not going to proceed with this project, then we don't need to go any further. It's up to the court. I think there's a need.
I agree with Commissioner Nelson, there is an absolute need for a sports complex. I just don't agree on the time. I think if we were going to do something for another bond and have an election for bond election, I think this court should maybe look at ways of maybe going out to figure out how we could actually generate income, maybe with a solar farm or railroad spur, something that in a couple of years it might be able to pay for itself, and then we'd have some funds after 8, 10, 12 years that we could throw back into our budget. That's just my opinion. The sports complex is needed. I just don't think that we should go out right now. I think we should be out looking for ways to generate income at this point.
You mentioned that with the $1.7 million, you would be able to build
What I can say,
parks?
if the Parks Department received the $340,000, there's $70,000 there that needs to go to equipment. The rest of it, there's some property, the county owns the fairgrounds, and right to the left-hand side, we could do a football field with bleachers, restrooms, everything, 2 to 3 baseball fields, and then some soccer fields with the balance of that $340,000. There is a great need for more, but this would be something that we could do now. You know, the Parks and Building Maintenance Department, with the sports complex, once we build it, we still have to come up with $200,000. I think it would take a year just to maintain it. That's above what the payment would be. I think that the short-term solution, and to get it done now, you could end up with some more practice fields, a football field. You know, I haven't run all the numbers on it, but we might be able to do a 13,000 square foot concrete slab for a basketball court also. Just a slab right now, but leave it prepared to put a building up on top. I just think if we're going to ask the voters to raise their taxes again, I think we need to ask them to raise the taxes in order to go out and build something that would actually generate income after a while.
You're talking Little League size fields?
The Little League size fields would be, they're 225 feet, yes. One of the issues that in all the meetings, we had a meeting the other day, one of the issues that came up also was softball field or a place for the Realnecks, in order for them to hold tournaments. The most expensive item on the fields is the lighting. Everything else, you know, a field you can build for about $60,000 as long as you don't do the lights, and a lot of the work is done in-house. But the lighting is what I think the school had spent $150 or something per field to light them. I think if we sort of put the word out with the surplus people that we need stuff, you know, that we might be able, with federal surplus, they might be able to get some lights. You know, we could do the football field, 2 or 3 baseball fields and soccer fields there at the fairgrounds. I visited with our constable earlier, and he's going to do a flyover of the fairgrounds. I'm going to bring it back to y'all next meeting. I'd like to present to the court that we actually shorten the track there at the fairgrounds, the racetrack, in order to be able to use more area. And that would give us enough room probably for another 2 or 3 baseball fields. I think in the meeting that we sat in, they wanted 3 or 4 baseball fields, just baseball fields. And then the softball fields, at least 2, maybe 3. The problem that they have with the tournaments is that when you hold a tournament with the softball, they have to go play at so many different locations. If we could do an area for softball and then one area like for baseball, that would help. It doesn't get to the ultimate sports complex where you don't have to be traveling everywhere all day long, all afternoon to get your kids to different events because it'll all be in one spot. You know, I guess that would be the ultimate goal.
I understand your point, but you know, if we're gonna issue debt to do projects to generate revenue, those are going to be revenue-based debt. Those are going to be a revenue fund. The money generated from those projects, like solar farms and stuff, would go to pay the debt on it. It wouldn't be a tax increase to the voters.
But
you know, and I understand what you're saying, and I understand the need. This discussion has been floating around this community for as many years as I can remember. And we piecemealed stuff together, trying to get what we need for our youth. Instead of going out and asking the voters to see if they're even interested. They may decide they don't even want to build this thing. That would benefit the needs. I mean, I spend a lot of time at these fields, a lot of time. And we've got good fields, but you're right, we're running all over the place trying to hold tournaments. Football, we go all the way to Brackett to hold our tournaments because we don't have a facility here to do it. This is a decision the voters need to make. I understand your comments and your concerns, and I think doing what you're talking about at the fairgrounds is a great thing for us to go look at doing. If we decide not to do this, we're going to have to do something. But I think the long-term deal is this community needs to decide if they want to go down this road or they don't want to go down this road. And it was the same as the library. There were a lot of people who didn't believe it needed to be done. At the end of the day, everybody decided it needed to be done. I mean, it's a decision this court can make. It's something that...
Where would you build it?
We would have to buy a piece of property to build it. We would have to find a piece of property. We would have to buy a big enough piece of property that it could be built and expanded upon long-term so that we're not doing this down the road somewhere. we don't have to build it now. We don't have to have this discussion now. I think we need it, but, you know, that's my personal opinion on this. We've talked about this for so many years, and we've got bits and pieces of stuff scattered all over Del Rio. And we go to tournaments, I go to tournaments all over the state, softball, football, kind of stuff. And the facilities they have are phenomenal, and the amount of people that they bring into these facilities are phenomenal. The amount of revenue it generates for a community to hold a large tournament, softball tournament or baseball tournament or whatever, brings in a lot of money. I'm not opposed to going out and doing projects like solar farms and stuff like that if the numbers work, but those have to be revenue bonds. Those can't be tax-based. They can't be funded through the taxpayers. They have to be funded through revenue.
But at the end of the day, when you go issue a revenue bond, they want to know whether or not you're going to be able to cover that payment before it begins to make money.
You have a tax pledge.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's a decision up to the court. I think there's a need for it. I think it doesn't have to be a November bond election. If the court's more comfortable looking at it next summer and working on it between now and then, I don't care, but I think we need to offer this to the people of this community and see if that's something they're interested in. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of children in this community that play sports, and the more we can get involved in the sports, the better for the children. And the easier we can make it for the parents not to have to be running to 15 different places. I mean, you start dropping off kids at sporting events at 4, and by the time you get done, you got to come back and start picking people up around town. It's an all-day endeavor.
I would feel more comfortable, Commissioner, if we went out, you know, you brought up the library a little while ago when we asked the voters what they wanted to do. We had location, we had a set of plans, and we had a cost. Right now, if we go out in November, we don't have any of that.
I understand.
But yet, when we did the library, we had all these other pieces in place. So, I mean, if we want to do this, which I think we all agree that it needs to happen, we need to go find a location. And then we bring it to the court. Once we find a location, get somebody to help us design it, and then let's come up with the cost. And then when we run it to voters, we run at them with already a cost and something in mind other than a dream.
Well, and that's the point of this whole line item here, is to get a design and a cost, and to design a facility to determine the size of piece of property you're going to need to be able to build this facility. I don't know if it's 50 acres, 100 acres, 20 acres, I mean,
but you don't.
I think you're going to be about 100 acres, but that's just my personal.
But you don't have an idea of which piece of property. I mean, we visited with Frank Larson, you know, trying to get the one that are going to deal with, that way he could do his, do that, whatever. You know, he didn't come up with the price. I visited with Bill Nixon, you know, he's somewhere in that $6,000 an acre range, but we didn't pick a piece of property. If you had a piece of property, I would feel more comfortable trying to get something designed, but we need to go find a piece of property or locate and say, okay, this is site 1, this is site 2, now what can we do on this, other than hiring somebody to design something that we don't know where it's going to be built, whether the property's going to be square, rectangle, and that's all going to be up to whoever's going to sell you the property.
Commissioner Middleton, do you know what it is that you want? The number of baseball fields, number of...
Well, I mean, I know what I want, but I mean, it's going to be up to what the teams and stuff want. I know what I think we need.
I understand, but yet, we as a court, if we're going to decide to spend this money, we need to know what we're getting. That's why I was asking, do we have any idea yet what we need? Have we talked to the people that are working on the Field of Dreams?
No.
I know they were very much working and wanting to get these fields done. We cannot have them go build a complex, and then we build a complex and be in competition with each other for who's going to be hosting the tournaments. If we have one huge complex and everybody can use the same complex.
I can assure you, most of the leagues out there want to use the county facilities.
And again, as long as it's a sports complex, I know the kids just want to play ball, and that's what we need to provide them, a place to play ball.
I would feel more comfortable if maybe, let's not do anything on this, but let's go look for a piece of property.
And that's fine.
If we go look for a piece of property, then we can bring something back to the court and say, look, this is a piece of property, this is what we think we can do. We had one meeting with both baseball leagues, soccer league, flag football league, football, right?
Football.
We had a meeting with them, and they gave us an idea what they want, or how many fields they want. My biggest concern is, though, that if we go hire this individual, we have no clue where we're gonna put it. And I think we need to
And
do
again,
that first.
are we gonna go out and buy property if we have enough room at the fairground? Wouldn't it be more logical to build at a place that we already own?
It would be, but short of taking out half of the fairgrounds and doing away with most of what's there, you wouldn't have enough property to build what.
Either way, I think the property at the fairgrounds, even after the sports complex was built, we're still not gonna have room for all the practice fields that everybody's gonna need. So if we did the fairgrounds now, put this within the bond, and we did the football field, the 2 or 3 baseball fields, the soccer fields, we'd still have a place for these kids to go practice that they don't have now. The football field, we could actually prepare it to where it has the stands, they have the restroom that's there versus them having to bring in a porta potty to use as restrooms. You know, I think that thing needs to move forward. In the sports complex, the people from the baseball leagues, you know, they were talking about, 6 or 8 baseball fields. Softball was talking 3 softball fields. And then your soccer fields, I think it was 11 fields, range in size from U6 to U13, I think. You know, and then the football fields, they needed
At least one
football field. So we have an idea what they need. I think we need to do the fairgrounds first while we work on the sports complex to figure out a piece of property. You know, that way you could design a plan if the court wants to go back out and look at that. I hate to use whatever credit we have on this available that we might need to use towards something else.
And
But either way.
That's fine, I mean, it's needed, we just have to be realistic. You mentioned that they want 8 baseball fields. You know, my own personal opinion is that's too many. Why would you need 8 baseball
Well,
fields?
that was a goal, that was the
Right,
dream.
Right. I know from past experience and being involved in coaching for many years, the most fields that we would go to, the most fields that they would have would be 2. And the games would be conducted at one field, and the others were used to warm up and practice. I think if we had 4 fields, that'd be...
Well,
that'd be
it's
good.
something that we can look at.
Let's be realistic.
I think we need to look at,
And that's part of what the design will ultimately decide is what this court wants to look at. I'll just table this motion.
do we want to go ahead and have another meeting, go and figure out what we're doing, and maybe go look at a location?
Yep.
And go and get Cynthia started on that?
Yeah, and before we move to the next item, I also agree with you, Commissioner Upton, and everybody here. As a former coach, I can tell you it's a shame that our kids have to go play a all-star game in Bracketville, because the school district did not allow them to use the fields here. And people have to travel all the way to Bracketville just to have their kids play. It's a shame, because we should have the facilities here for our kids, and I agree with all of you here.
Well, if y'all do the bonds, we can do the football field, some baseball fields, and soccer fields.
Okay, there's a motion to table this.
Throw that out.
Need a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody? Thank you. All right, next we have item 17, consider an act upon change order number text CDBG 721-5499 Comstock Waterline Project, decreasing the contract amount by $9,005.36 and authorizing the judge to sign it.
This is to get the contract within the bounds of the grant that was awarded, so that we don't go over the grant. We're readjusting a few line items in there to get it down to match what we have funding in that grant, so
Is that a motion?
and I'll make that into a motion to authorize.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Any more discussion? And all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody? 5-0. All right, next, item 18, discuss possible action on moving payroll back to personnel office.
I had this on the agenda so we can start the discussion. We moved payroll over to Frank's office years ago because of issues, and we had to. With what's going on over there and them leaving and stuff, I think we need to get it back where it belongs, which is in personnel, and I'd like to see it happen in a time frame that we can go through the growing pains of moving it and possibly them helping us over in personnel to train to make sure that it's done correctly. I think it's time we move some of these things back with the potential of the auditor leaving and all that.
Doesn't it actually belong in the treasurer's office?
My concern about this is that the separation of duties is an important issue. And you don't want the people that are putting employees on payroll to actually issue the payroll checks. And the reason that is because it has happened, not here, but in business, that if the same department is the one adding employees to payroll and then also issuing checks, it's more easy to create a fraud.
Go ahead, yeah.
Well, I mean, the check still has to come out of the county treasurer's office. It wouldn't come out of this department. They would handle all of the input and everything else that they need to do. The treasurer still has to issue warrants, does he not? I mean, I understand it's supposed to be under the county treasurer with the assistance of the personnel department, and maybe that's where it needs to go, I'm not sure.
I would feel more confident if it was HR doing their function.
Yeah.
And then the
Treasurer doing their function. Well, that's what I had in mind. It wasn't that they would actually issue the checks. They would do their function of it, and the treasurer would do their function of it.
And what would
Instead
that,
of having to go through y'all's office to do all of it, I just think we need to start
Yep.
dealing with some of that issues that we've had in the past and getting it back where it is, while we still have time to make sure everybody's doing their job
As long as
correctly.
there's that
Yes.
separation. that is-
No, I mean, I'm not
so,
advocating that they do issuance of checks. That still has to come out of the treasurer's office, but they would handle all of the stuff, and then it would go to the treasurer to be issued, the checks that need to be issued.
so we're gonna take away the $5,000 from each one of the girls that
Those salaries are set by the district.
But we added $5,000 to each one of the girls' salaries because they were taking on more duties, and the conversation that we had was if those duties went away, that $5,000 would go.
I would not be an advocate of that at all.
And then why would we move anything? I mean, they're already doing it. I think the only thing that needs to happen is the treasurer needs to issue checks,
And that would be perfectly fine.
and that would give you your separation.
Yeah.
So right
I'm
now,
not
you're
sure
doing
the
nothing.
auditor can do payroll.
No, HR,
No,
By statute.
they don't do payroll.
The issuing the checks
So
has
when
to be the
it came to
treasurer.
you, it came from the
And
treasurer's
that's what it would
office.
be, by statute.
yes.
Right.
By
But the
statute.
inputting and all that.
The inputting portion could be
Anybody can
assigned
do
by
it.
the court.
Mhm.
Right.
By
But
statute, it can be assigned by the court, but the
Right.
person that's supposed to issue the checks
Is
is
the
the
The issuance
treasurer.
of the checks and the endorsing has to be the treasurer.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
But the court can decide, which the court has already decided, that the auditor's office is the one doing it. The paperwork,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's the court's authority.
And but they've already done it, we've already done it.
Yes, sir.
At the
Go ahead.
present time, we are responsible for ensuring that the hours are correct, that everything is input correctly. We spend at least 2 days making those corrections and getting timesheets to the auditors. Once there's an error, they have to do manual checks.
That's what y'all are already doing.
We're doing
Now.
mostly, yeah,
And then the checks are issued where?
from the auditor's office.
Which that needs to change. That needs to go to the treasurer by statute.
That's correct.
So do we need to make a motion to that effect, Counselor?
We need to
Or I
change
think you need to
it.
get in compliance with the statute.
We have to
Yeah, we need
comply
to-
with the statute.
We need to get it back to the treasurer's office.
Mhm.
You gonna do that?
Want to make a motion for that?
Can we do it within this?
This is to move back to personnel.
Can't do it.
No.
You put that on the
We'll
agenda.
have to have it.
Yeah. put
Or
it
somebody.
in at the next meeting. Okay. All right, one more item, then we'll have a break. Discuss possible action on creation of a grant administrator department,
We had this in
administrative department.
couple of meetings ago, and I put it back, with them leaving over there and them handling all the grants, I think we need to get these somewhere where they're in control, and the court has some control and understanding of what's going on with them. I think we need to, and now I'm not saying we need to create it right this minute, but we need to have this discussion during the budget cycle to create a department that will handle and administer all of the grants for this county under the control of Commissioner's Court.
And I was contemplating that, and when we have our budget workshops, especially for salaries, we should include this in there because it's going to be a new department.
Yes.
Okay? So that's...
Don't you think we need to get something like that, Frank, going?
That'd be wise.
Okay. And I think we're going to have our first budget discussion will be tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and it will be myself, Mr. Lowe, Mr. Muskis, and Mr. Rodriguez will be in there.
Question, Judge.
Go ahead.
In answer to the court, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, answer to the
Yeah.
court. This department will operate under the function of the
And we'll bring
court,
it back
the
during-
same as
Bring it back during the budget cycle?
Right.
it needs to be. I would like to see us get something operating before they leave, so they have some time to train this department as to how these things operate and what they need to do, though. I don't want to wait until October, and then we're trying to create something, and then we don't have any training time. So I would like to have the ability for y'all to at least teach this department how it operates and functions, so maybe we can put it together and get it functioning before October 1st, so that we have time for them to train.
Will we look at all options, with creating a brand new department?
You can either create or
adding the
contract
duties to a
it,
different department?
or you can add duties to a different department, or we can contract it out to somebody, but we need to get something going so they have time to train on everything that we currently have, so everybody understands what it is they need to do.
And that was, I think, I talked to the district judges, I think I told them, see if we could decide, since Frank is retiring, see if they can give us a name where they want to hire for auditor and start training him with Mr. Lowe and probably in all of August and September.
Judge, I think, Frank, you're already headhunting, ain't you?
Yes.
You're already looking for somebody?
Well, the district judges have, I mean...
You're gonna recommend?
Have my recommendation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but you're already headhunting, you're already looking, to figure out who's out there, and I think you already have an individual in mind that might work. Is that right?
Yeah, I just don't know whether he's willing to...
Okay.
I just want to make sure we get all these things done before they leave, so that they have time to help us train these individuals or departments or wherever they end up going, enough time so that we're not running blind in October.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's take a 10-minute break.
Did you mute everything?
I never just noticed. ¿Te cae en la peluca?
Oh, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. I told him, I didn't like
But yet I don't paint my hair though. No me pinta el pelo.
Míralo. No, yo soy indio, fui bastante indio.
Natural.
All right, let's get back. All right, let's go to item number 20, discuss possible action regarding Amistad Acres Road project. Go ahead.
Judge, I want to table this item and bring it back after executive session.
Okay. All right, next we have item 21, discuss possible action on the use of El Verde Community Center for certified voter register for the purpose of registering eligible new voters.
Judge, I was approached by a group of people that have been certified by the county to register new voters, and they would like to use the community center. So I will make a motion allowing them to use the community center, register new voters.
They're certified by the county?
Yes, by the department. You have to be certified.
It's to the Secretary.
Deputized, I'm sorry, yes.
Oh.
They're certified by the Secretary of State.
As long as they're deputized, they follow the rules of bringing the cars with the 5 days from the time they register the people. They have to follow the same rules that everybody goes through.
Correct. And these people will not be representing any particular party or candidate, so
Okay.
they'll be
You want,
neutral ground.
you put that in form of motion?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion, a second. Any more discussion? All Not all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Next, item 22, ratification approval of bond for Stuart Matthew Wingo, Reserve Deputy Constable, Precinct 3, and authorize the county judge to sign it.
So moved.
Second.
Move in a second. Commissioner
Flores.
Commissioner Flores, any discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody. Thank you, 5-0. Item 23, discuss possible action on recommendation of selection committee to award contract professional service provider 2017-2018 Beverly County, Texas CDBG Community Development Grant funds based on the request for qualifications submitted, and also include the authorization of signature.
That's long, right? Can't you shorten it up
I
a
was
little
trying to
bit?
get everything in there at one time. We only had one submission, that was from Esther and Company Consulting LLC from Uvalde, Texas.
Motion to approve.
Motion, second. Okay, any more discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0.
And judge to sign on that, right?
Yeah, that's what's it. Okay.
Second, I got a question. Just in case we missed it in the motion, we've already talked about this.
Yeah.
It's automatically
the
understood that the judge was...
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Good.
All right, next we have item 24, discuss and possible action on assigning the selection committee to review and score the request proposal for the bank depository service.
And that will come in on the 18th of this month.
I'll make a motion to appoint you, Frank, and, Aaron.
Okay, there's a motion. Need a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
I'm gonna go ahead and abstain from this vote, Judge.
Okay. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, one abstention. And item 25, discuss and possible action on authorizing the assignment of fuel card for Jerry Rust.
Thought he had a fuel card.
He
doesn't
called
have
and
a fuel
requested
card?
one, so.
How does he get his fuel now?
They have tanks.
They have tanks. They fill up there. But
He's got his hand raised.
Go ahead.
Mr. Russ could elaborate on that.
Yeah, I have to make a couple of trips this year, and I need a fuel card so I can get down there and back on my truck. I think that's what it's for.
Motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion. Second. I need a second.
Second.
Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Hold on, just I have a question.
Go ahead.
This is gonna be just for out-of-town use?
Yes, just for out of town.
Okay, there's a motion, a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0.
Why would you limit yourself?
Could we look at the addendum, one line item?
Okay. Okay, addendum item 1, discuss possible action regarding the certificates of deposit held in local depository.
No, number 3.
I'm sorry,
You said one?
number 3. Discuss and possible action on special self-proving purchases less than $200.
Last month, in the last meeting, you asked me to look into see if there was basically a self-approval method to use in Tyler where each department head had the ability of purchasing without, basically waiting for the whole procedure of the purchase order. And there is a manner in which to do it.
And either way, I mean, if we don't have the money within the account, it doesn't let you issue the PO.
That's correct.
So we're
What's
okay.
the manner?
The person that each department head assigns to make the requisitions in the system, it'll be, the system will take that as the department head giving the authorization and complying with the policy that purchase can be made. And it foregoes, actually, the auditor's office automatically authorizes it, and so does the purchasing department, because you gotta stay.
Within your budget.
conform-
Within your budget.
No, you gotta conform to the statute.
Yeah. And it's within your budget. It's not
Oh,
going to
yeah,
issue a PO.
yeah.
So you can't go
The
over.
system will not allow you to perform. It bypasses my checking off on it, if it's under $200. Well, actually, the system assumes that you said it was okay, and I said it was okay.
Okay.
So what do we need to do?
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's motion and second.
I will make a change to the purchasing policy.
And then you need a list of who we're gonna authorize?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. There's a motion and second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0.
He's got a question, Judge.
Is this just for commission? Or is it?
Well, that's up to the court.
You're gonna bring it back with a list of names? How are we gonna do that?
No. The court needs to determine who is allowed to use this
That's what
practice.
I'm saying, that, are you gonna bring us a list of names, or we need to determine that now?
I would determine it now, and I would bring back
Okay.
individual names that are,
Let's,
actually, the court, it's the department heads that are approved to use this method will assign the person that's gonna do this, whether it be
So every
themselves
department will be
or
able to
someone
do it.
else in their office.
Every department would be able to do it.
If it's 200 or less, it just bypass.
Yeah.
To do 50.
yeah,
So just let them,
yeah.
it would be every
It
department.
would be every department, but they need to provide you with names of who's gonna be authorized to do it.
Okay, this motion, wanna,
Yeah, my motion, I'll amend my motion to,
Thought I did it.
or did you, oh, you did it? Okay, never mind.
Well, you can amend it. I'll amend the motion to add that.
Second accept.
Yeah.
okay. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Mr.
But you usually do the motion.
You did.
All right,
Huh? Yeah, he usually does the motion.
okay, next we have item
Nothing on
26, discuss and possible action approving the court regarding items to be reimbursed from the tax risk control reimbursement program.
Judge, Commissioners, I included in your packet a copy of the items that had already been requested by our fire chief, Jerry Rust, in regards to some air packs and other equipment here. This equipment was essential even prior to the implementation of the program. I visited with Ernesto Galindo.
Is it eligible? Are the air packs eligible to be
The air
reimbursed?
packs are included in here, yes.
But they're eligible because there was a question.
The air packs are eligible, they certainly are. And so this will be submitted, even though the way the actual criteria of this program, the way it works is, if you remember at the last meeting, Commissioner Flores and I believe, were considered to be a committee to come up with the items that would qualify under this grant, or not grant, under this program.
What do you need from us? What do you need from us, Roger, Mr. Cerny? What do you need from us? You need,
What I just wanted to let you know that these items here, with your approval, will.
do you need our
be
approval?
submitted.
You need a motion?
Yes, on these items, I certainly do.
So moved.
Second.
There's motion and second. Any more discussion?
Thanks, Roger.
If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Cerny.
And Commissioner Flores and I will be back with each one of you individually.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 27, discuss possible action regarding library booking contract with Matt Tardy Summer Reading Program. Go ahead.
Good morning, Judge Valdez, Commissioners.
Morning.
If I may, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce those of you who haven't had an opportunity to meet my new administrative assistant, Patricia Salceda.
Morning.
Ms. Salceda used to work for the federal courts here in Uvalde, we're not
Beverly.
Uvalde, here in Del Rio, and so, yeah, we're real happy to have her.
Those of us that went to your reception had met her.
Right.
That's not right. That's not right.
She's right there.
Just throw it in. Just throw that out there, yeah. Thank you.
Judge Valdez and Commissioner Ramon have the opportunity to meet her at the library. So this is just routine summer business. One of the performers for the reading program has requested that we sign a contract, so that's why I brought that to you. It's for a $500 fee, which is typically reimbursed by the Friends of the Library at the conclusion of the summer reading program.
That's the question I had, Ms. Mende. In the past, the Friends of the Library have paid for it.
They reimburse us after
Okay,
the...
don't forget that when you are going to receive something like that, it has to come to the grant review committee.
Right, absolutely, yes.
You accepting?
Okay, I need a motion for that.
So moved.
Move,
Second.
second. Okay, any more questions? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Next, item 28, discuss possible action regarding booking contract with Matt Sandbank Shadow Factory Summer Reading Program.
So moved.
Move.
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, thank you.
Okay, so, and I just would like to mention also that we're going to be working with the community center to carry these programs out, and hopefully that'll pave the way to some future collaboration with them, so we're excited about it.
Okay,
Thank you.
Item 29 was canceled this Monday. All right. Item 30, discuss possible action authorizing Sheriff Joe Frank Martinez to add 5 AT&T air cards to Valverde County inventory.
Sure.
There's a motion. There's a second.
Second.
Any questions?
I've got one, just, I was gonna ask it. We're not going over on our, okay.
Okay. All right, there's a motion, second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody? Thank you. 5-0. All right, next, item 31, discuss possible action on authorization to allow repairs caused by the hailstorm.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve.
There's a
Whatever.
motion, and a second.
Question.
You're
Question?
gonna go up?
Thank you. The cost of replacing with the air conditioning,
Yes, sir.
was it all covered by insurance or not?
It'll come out of those funds there. There's a unit that does our server room, and that we're starting to have problems with it.
Right.
You didn't answer your question.
It's coming out of the insurance.
Okay, but my question is, their insurance paid for certain specific things,
They,
for the roof, for the air conditioning, whatever.
yes, sir. It was
Did you
broken.
have enough money to cover the whole cost of this unit from what was reimbursed for that specific thing?
For that specific unit, totally
Yes.
no.
So where is that rest of the money coming from?
It-
Because if the insurance did not have enough there for the air conditioning, then you cannot reuse what was given for other things for the insurance to cover that one item.
We've done it in the past.
Ain't never stopped nobody
He's looking for it, because there's a dollar amount, and then there's a reimbursable deductible
Right.
amount. So between those two totals, did it total the total dollar amount? Does that make sense? Roger, you looking for the AC?
I was looking for that specific
Uh-huh.
item.
Yeah.
Sheriff, you don't have any idea how much,
It's going to cost about $12,000.
how much did they give you for it?
I believe it was, for that unit itself,
For that
it
unit.
wasn't broke down that way, Commissioner.
How was it broken down?
It's broken down by either the jail, the sheriff's storage, covered parking, sheriff's shop, the radio tower storage, and covered parking.
So they didn't go specific.
No, but they showed it, air-conditioned damage, but it wasn't individual, that's the cost.
You'll have, some of the stuff you're not gonna fix, though. I mean, your
Sorry?
roofs, stuff like that, like on your transportation, I mean, they gave you money, like where your cars are parked that's beat up.
Yes, sir.
You're not gonna fix that.
More likely not.
No. So he'll have
So
some
he'll
funds.
have-
There'll be funds there.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, it's just 10, it's just
Right,
cosmetic.
right.
So he'll have money within his budget, his overall budget.
Insurance money.
Okay,
Yeah.
the insurance money. Okay.
Yes.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion, need a second?
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Item 32,
Okay. But it's gonna.
Okay, yeah, we need to, I'd already made the motion.
motion and a second.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's two different motions.
Right.
yeah. There was, I'd already made a motion, and Commissioner Flores had already seconded.
Flores had already.
Amito.
So then I made a motion and Middleton second.
Uh-huh.
On the second round? So we
Yeah.
got two motions and two seconds.
So go spend double the amount.
So which one?
The
First
first
one,
one.
first one. Okay. All right, next, item 32, discuss possible action request for purchase of 2 storage cabinets and to come out of capital outlay.
Does he have money in his capital outlay?
Yes, he has $2,000.
So it's
Well,
not a problem.
Is 32 and 34 the same thing?
Yes. Yeah, he repeated, we're gonna leave 34 and 35 out.
Okay.
Okay, there's a motion, need a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, 5-0. All right, item 33, discuss possible action to request purchase all-in-one laser printer and to come out of capital outlay.
Motion approved.
There's a motion.
Second.
Second. Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
5-0. Item 34 and 35 will repeat, so let's skip those. All right, item 36, discuss the possible action on a fuel card approval for Houston Dobbins.
Motion approved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Item 37, monthly treasury report.
Move.
So
Second.
moved. And a second.
I've got a question. Yes, sir. On the interest in sinking, the, well. Can we just find out?
We got Mr. Contingency on this side, Mr. Interesting Thinking on this side.
Okay.
If we can find out how come it's not being booked up, we got to make it happen. Definitely.
So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody.
We all got files signed.
Judge, I just want to comment, Aaron's doing an excellent job of not keeping us informed of all the different accounts and what people have in there.
Thank you. All right, next, let's go to the addendum item.
Judge, you said not keeping us.
No, I didn't think that. All right, let's go to addendum item number 1, discuss possible action regarding certificates of deposits held with a local depository.
At the last special meeting, the commissioners had asked me to prove to them or show to them how we had the 4 CDs that we have, and when they were coming up for renewal. We have one coming up for renewal May 30th. It currently has a balance of $205,000, almost $206 actually. Whatever the court wants to take action on that, we can renew it.
You made a comment earlier that we have an issue because they are in a CD. And then the other thing that Aaron just presented, you didn't tell the rest of the court
I
about.
was just about to get into that. In March, I had asked the bank, Bank and Trust, that owns these CDs, what a 12-month CD would look like as far as percentage rate. They had it at .35. They recommended that we can change it into a now checking account, that's what they call it, and we can get .45% on that.
And we'd be able to use the money, there's no withdrawal penalties.
It would be much more liquid than it is now.
So you need a motion from the court to do that? Or can you just do it?
I believe I can just do it, but I think the court can.
Well, okay, and that's for all 4 of them?
No, that would just be this one that's expiring May 30th.
But the others are not too far off.
Excuse me?
The other ones are not too far off.
They're, the next 2 come up August 2nd, and then another one November 2nd.
So you could do those?
So we can also do those.
So you'll come to the court with those?
Yeah, come back to the court for those.
I think he has the authority by statute
He
to do
does.
that.
Yeah, just kind of giving the court an idea of what we can do with those. And I'd like to see what it will do for the next 3 months and recommend what we can do August when the other 2 come up.
So they're going to be in their own separate account now?
They would be 4. Well, we probably set up 4 different line item accounts for them.
Are there fees involved with those accounts?
Not that I know of, but I will make sure. I don't believe we need to do that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Do we need to act,
No, you have this.
And you're doing a good job.
Thank you. All right, we're going to item 38, County Human Resource Director's report.
Motion to approve, are they in compliance? Are they all in compliance?
Yes, sir.
There's a motion.
Second.
Are the salaries all within where they need to be?
Judge, just for information purposes, JKL&M, it shows them as being terminated due to temporary water line project. And I want to make sure that, that goes in the file for you guys, that they weren't terminated for performance, it was just because we had approved this for 12 weeks. And they all did an excellent job, and I want to make sure that they are called for reference, that we let them know.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. All right, next we're going to go to item 39, auditor's report, monthly auditor's report.
Move.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Flores. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. Item 40, discuss possible action on the budget amendment for the 63rd District Court. Go ahead, Mr. Flo.
They have a laptop.
Did you have a...
blow up on them that they use in the courtroom, and the cost is around $700, and they feel that if they utilize their office supplies, they have enough money in there to buy the laptop, but they don't think they'd make it to the end of the year. He's not going to utilize the line item for a judge's insurance, which is $2,000.
So is he gonna take it out of that?
So this request is to move the $2,000 from judge's insurance.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, Commissioner Hamilton. Any other question? And all those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody?
I didn't let him do it.
Okay, next item, 41, discuss possible action on payment authorization regarding invoices with purchase requisition issues. Go ahead, Frank.
These items here are purchase order issues.
Either the purchase order exceeded the amount that the purchase order was put in for, or there was no purchase order. I just need to include these, or have the court approve these for...
The $50?
Hmm?
The $50 out of purchase order? For chairs?
Which one? This
That
one?
one?
This is the invoice date of March 29th. PO was done April 12th.
Yeah, but, well, we'll need to look, because this one here, when I signed it,
Mhm.
it was a delivery ticket, not an invoice. We'll need to look at it,
Okay.
yeah.
But if I
mean,
just get these approved, it'll
Okay.
be fine.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, need a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody, 5-0. All right. We're now going to executive session take executive session pursuant to the Texas Government Code 551.071, parentheses 1, parentheses A, and 551.071, parentheses 2, and 551.072, and 551.073.
Janie, can you turn the...
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Oh, okay, concerning, that item, Judge, we're gonna reevaluate the use of this fund, and, we'll, bring it up, next meeting, what we decided to do with it.
Item 20?
This is item number 20. Go ahead. There's a motion, I need a second.
No, he's just making a statement, that's
All right,
all. He's
good.
gonna reevaluate.
All right, thank you. All right, next, we have any subdivisions?
Yes, we have your other. This one is in Commissioner Nettleton's.
Just so everybody knows, we did not have a quorum at Amistad Zoning, so we're bringing it straight to Commissioner Court.
I'm sorry.
You weren't the only one.
Sorry. I was on my way to try to
This is actually the lot owned by Dan Newsom.
Yep.
This is where the storage building blew up, you know, it turned inside out, rolled down the road. What he's doing is, there are two smaller lots.
Did you already look at it,
Large
Commissioner?
lot.
Did you already look at it?
Yeah, motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion, need a second. Okay, if not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, Commissioner? Yeah, Commissioner Flores, second. Commissioner Owens, did you vote for it?
Yes, sir, I voted for it.
Okay.
Well, I didn't vote for it, but I will vote for it.
All right, next, item 44, certificate of compliance. Okay, thank you. Approving monthly reports from elected officials.
Move.
So moved. Second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nobody. Next, approving the bills for payments.
This, where's Frank?
I think he got signed in anticipation.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that there was a couple of things in there.
Yeah. And can I ask a question in the meantime?
Sure.
Roy, what are we doing with the copiers? Well, are we gonna come up with one solution for everybody?
As they come off their contract, if somebody's come off a contract, yes. But they're all staggered, I mean, within the next 3 years, it'll all come out and we'll start to consolidate as they come in, where we can.
Because there's some offices with 2 or 3 copiers.
That's correct.
I have one question for him. The vehicles for the sheriff, and I may have overlooked it, are they?
I got to present those separately.
Okay. All right.
The 3 vehicles for the sheriff's department, one of them is $43,758.21. The other one is $48,042, and the other one is $48,042. Those need to be approved. These are the vehicles that were approved and authorized in the budget to be purchased.
So it's just part of the bills?
Yes.
All right, I'll make a motion
These
to
are all
add
grant,
those.
these are all grant-related
Yeah.
vehicles.
Make a motion to approve the bills and add those into it.
Was that only need to be added, sir?
No. And then I have a $500 bill from G.W. Cox Funeral Home.
Yeah, what do we had on that?
18.
18, huh? I'll amend my motion to add that
I
one.
mean, do you have any more, we just do them all at once, or?
That's all.
That was it?
Okay, there's a motion, I need a second.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Owens.
Questions?
Go ahead.
Frank, on the Veterans Office, we've got some mileage. And there's one for $7.17. What are these for?
I'm not sure what that is.
There's one for $18.
I think Commissioner, yeah,
Local traffic.
yeah, he has to go to the base sometimes.
I think he presented that, actually.
Yeah. Okay. On the library books, instead of presenting each one individually, can we just group those together? There's 208 entries on library books in this report.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
This is like a summary of the actual invoice, how the invoices come, and how this report is generated. And so, I'll check with our county programmer and see if we can group those up into one, but this just gives you a detail of everything that was on an invoice.
You can ask
That's the way, that's how the purchase order is actually made, because each book is a different price.
No.
And that transitions to that report from the original purchase order.
But there's no way to-
The accounting practice we've done is each individual item on a purchase needs to match the invoice as it comes in, and that's the reason why they're that way.
Commissioner Owens asked me to ask this of you. There's 2 invoices for Kodak Alaris Inc. for building maintenance. One for $49.36 and the other one for $3,700. Do you know what those are?
No, not off the top of my head. This is building maintenance?
Yes, sir.
Kodiak?
No, Kodak Alaris.
Kodak. It has to be something with technology, because it's too expensive. That's too much money.
I think the IT guy.
Yeah, every time he shows up, it's $4,000 and $5,000. Just to talk to him is $3,000.
Okay.
I'll have to check on those.
Okay. There's some For Flores Office Furniture and Supplies, there's 4 listings for election expense, office,
What department?
327, payable number,
Elections Department.
Is it yours?
account number?
I think so. I don't know.
Well,
It's right.
each one of these are
Is it mine?
broke out by the department. What department?
It just says election expense office.
It would be,
It doesn't say
Mr. Lopez.
county clerk.
It would be mine.
Oh, those are yours?
Just furniture,
It's mine.
paperwork?
No, there were the signs, election signs.
Okay, so it's signs?
From
Yeah,
Flores?
and, yes, and signs and, we
Wire
ordered
deals
like
or
3
whatever.
different signs, and then crowd control stuff. They're not, it's not furniture.
Because, yeah, because there's one for 3,430.
There was like 35 of the A-frame signs
Okay.
Yeah, I
for
think that was.
elections.
Okay.
And I did look for references on that.
So that was just,
Before you vote.
Part of the
That's why it
process.
was taken from elections, because it's all for elections.
Okay.
We can't use those signs for anything else.
okay. What else do I have?
Okay. Okay, there's a motion and a second. Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nobody? 5-0. Okay, any elected officials' comments?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to remind the court that, next week on the 17th, we have that fallen officer memorial to be celebrated right here at the courthouse, and we're adding an individual who has gone unrecognized in Valverde County for 109 years, and just want to invite the court and the public, to be there.
16th or 17th?
The 17th, at 10 o'clock.
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Judge, we only got one JP report. Are the others not submitting the report?
Nope.
Is there anything you can do to, because we're approving elected officials' reports, but yet they're not submitting the reports.
But those aren't, if they're not in there, we're not approving those reports, only the ones that are
And there's some
submitted.
that never submit, and they
Yeah, but
need
we
to be
don't
submitted. Yeah, the only one that submitted was precinct 4. Can you send them a
Yeah,
letter? Let them know?
we'll send them a letter, make sure they get the reports. Okay? Okay, any other comment? There's no judge's comments, then our next regular commission meeting will be on the 13th, 9 a.m. Okay, not, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.